everybody, and welcome to this very late night stream for me. It is 2 o'clock in the morning, so we are going to try and keep this brief, but it's a monumental day in the history, I think, of Scientology, and it's important to talk about this, so I thought I had to go live, and who better to bring on than our very own Ashley Richards from the TSFU podcast that we do every week on a Wednesday, because we normally drop the episode and we held off on this one because we didn't want to take the attention away from the Jane Does and the cases that's obviously just come to a conclusion today. So I thought, let's bring Ash on for a live chat. We'll try and keep it short, and then we'll drop the episode after this. So Ash, welcome.
Thank you, Alex, and thank you for having me on your live today of all of the people in the SPTV world that you know. I feel honored to be here. And hey, everybody, thanks for joining us. I know it's been a big day of live streaming. So
it's been
Cassie says ain't no party like an SP party, because an SP party don't stop.
It is true. Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's been non-stop coverage since the news broke, 4 hours ago, something like that. And so I don't want to overstate and keep talking about and saying the same things that's already been said before. And I don't have any personal connection to the case. I'm not involved in any way, so I'm certainly not an expert. I'm not in a position to talk about it from that angle. But I think it is news. It is important. It's something to bring attention to. And so I thought we had to do something to mark the occasion. So for those of you who don't know, Danny Masterson, who is an actor who is in the That's So 70s show, he's a Scientologist, was found guilty today on 2 of 3 counts based on a retrial, which is fantastic news. Ash, what do you know about the case so far? Like, what's your thoughts at the very beginning when we first started talking about it earlier this evening?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's interesting because just last week we were saying we have to do an episode on Danny Masterson soon, because the news is going to be coming out. We got to be ready. And when I found out today, I was just so excited. I don't know a ton about I'm definitely not an expert on the case, as, most of y'all know. I wasn't in Scientology. I kind of reached out to Alex to have him explain to me what the fuck's going on in there. I have been aware, though, that Danny Masterson is a gross piece of shit and that he's been on trial for forcible rape, which I would love to talk about the difference between forcible rape and rape. But it's obviously amazing news, not only for the SPTV. It's so funny. It's so culty. I love you guys.
You're
amazing.
part of it now.
I know. I love an anti-cult. But not only is it amazing news for this, entire community TV, this entire community on and off of YouTube, but it's just what a big day for sexual assault survivors and survivors of cultic abuse, for former Scientologists, hopefully for Scientologists who this might be something eye-opening, because the church has been able to keep things so secretive for so long. And as a former survivor of sexual assault, as probably with 7 out of 10 women on this chat, because it's ridiculously too common, it's great and so empowering to see some women get justice in the justice system for these sexual assaults, because I'm sure you know that just does not fucking happen nearly enough. So just a really great day and Beachbody just got sued too. I fucking hope that we are in the era of bringing down the cults, and what better one to bring down than Scientology?
100%. I think this is important not just for the Scientology aspect, but also for, like you say, for women, right, and for other survivors and victims. And this is their day, right? Danny Masterson was convicted on 2 of the 3 counts. The third count was a hung jury. 8 out of the 12 jurors wanted to, they voted guilty. Before did not. So it wasn't a conviction, but nonetheless, that means he will be serving jail time. And I think this is their day, and this has been such a roller coaster for so many people, particularly in the Scientology community. I was on the phone to Vanessa from Degraded Daughters earlier, and we had a really lengthy chat about it. And everyone who has been on SPTV and talked about it has shown their real emotion. And there is the element of getting justice, but also um this is empowering, because it makes it really clear that justice is served, it has been served, it can be, and it's okay to speak out. I think those Jane Does that did speak out and have taken this case, it was on trial before, this is the retrial. Like, they are just so strong and inspiring for speaking out, for fighting this fight for many, many years. These instances happened in the early 2000s, right? It's not like it was yesterday. They've continued the fight. And it's encouraging to people who've gone through something similar to speak out, but also from a Scientology perspective, right? Now is the time to share your story, to speak out if you have had any sort of instance or involvement of abuse or anything at all. Like, this just shows that the justice system can result in injustice, and also shows that there is a huge community of people here behind you, supporting you in every way, right? When Aaron Smith Levin first went live, when the news first broke, there were 10,000 people watching live. That's
It's
10,000
amazing.
people standing there behind the Jane Does saying, "We are with you." And that message needs to carry on through to everybody else who hasn't spoken out, who hasn't shared their story. You are supported, you're not alone, and we are in this together, right?
Absolutely. And Alex, is there anywhere that people can reach out if they do want to tell their story, but they're not ready to go public with it yet? They're just kind of thinking about speaking about it.
Absolutely. I mean, any SPTV YouTuber, right? Myself, Chris Shelton, Aaron Smith Levin, Mark and Claire Headley, like any one of us, right, are more than willing to speak to anybody, right? I say all the time, if you want to share your story, but you don't want to share it publicly, or you just need to speak to someone, like, we're all here. I'm here. Just email us, right? And we will listen to you and we can talk to you. Like, we're all helping each other here, right? When it comes to abuse and this sort of thing, I don't know if there is a particular place to direct people, but other than the police, right? If it's a crime, report it to the police. They're the people to go to,
Right.
and get it on the record. But if you are looking just for support, just for someone to speak to listen, any one of us are there. And if you're looking to leave or escape Scientology, the Aftermath Foundation is the place to go. They will help you leave and they will help you escape. But I just want everyone to know that there is a community here. We're here to support each other. And I think I tweeted earlier, this is a monumental day for Scientology, which I don't think a lot of people realize, right? I think this is the start of a very huge thing that's going to be unraveling, right? This conviction shows that Scientology allows this stuff to happen, B, covers it up, and C, it happens across the world, right? And as much as Scientology went on trial this time, it is evidence that Scientology try and actively stop members from reporting these things to the police, right? And this has opened the can of worms. And I think this is only the tip of the iceberg.
Oh yeah, I think this is going to be like an absolute it's all cracking wide open, especially too. I just think with like this happening right after the Beachbody lawsuit, like cults and coercive groups are starting to get their day in court, and especially Scientology. For so long, they've had so much money and so much power, and now that people have been talking about it, you know, very brave people like other people on SPTV for, you know, over 15 years, like finally some shit is happening. Um, and I think he got like 30 years, right? Which is,
Yeah, so it's a minimum of 15 years per count. So he's been found guilty of two, so he's minimum of 30 years, to life. Um,
so
yeah,
good.
it's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, I can't stress this enough, right? For the victims, even for the Jane Doe 3, who had a hung jury, Aaron was saying that he spoke to her and she was saying that she was still elated. She was still overjoyed that justice has been served, not necessarily for her case, but in general, right? This guy is going to prison. He has been found guilty of this thing. And the case in general, as I said, it just goes to show that Scientology allows these things to happen. I don't know if you're aware of like the Scientology aspect, but there was a huge moment. Claire Headley from Blown for Good that we were just watching their live stream together. She was allowed as an expert witness in this case and gave testimony about Scientology's policies and procedures. So one aspect of this is it's now on the record, right? In as part of this court of law, the way Scientology operates and the way it handles these reports, right? In Scientology, if you are upstat, if you're someone who is getting people into Scientology, you're donating money, you're doing well, if someone reports something about you, then it's meant to be filed with a yawn, is literally the wording, right? It's meant to be not even looked at, just put away, doesn't mean anything. You have what's called ethics protection, right? If
I'm
you're
sorry,
upstat.
filed with like a
Yeah,
boring because
yes,
that person's too important for your stupid little rape story to matter.
yes. Yeah. And this is one of the things that happened with not just this case, but with so many other cases. And this is why it's the tip of the iceberg, because so many other people across the world will have had experience of this and they would have reported it to the church. But because the person is upstat, they have ethics protection. You are not allowed to sue another Scientologist, right? It's called a high crime. You will get in personal trouble if you sue another Scientologist. So Scientology will do everything they can to stop you suing another Scientologist. You're meant to report everything to ethics. They're meant to handle it, and it's not meant to be reported to the police. And when someone is upstat, if you report this guy abused me, this guy raped me, Scientology go, okay, fine, moving on, because this guy's upstat, which is just horrific. And that's policy. Claire Headley got that on the books, on the record, that this is the policy of Scientology worldwide.
And I think it's important too to point out, you know, I just want to give kudos to people like you and like Claire. It takes a lot of guts to say, hey, I was a part of this, because there are a lot of people who are not so nice as everybody on the chat that, you know, definitely will like victim blame and shame people that used to be higher up in cult organizations, because it's like, oh, well, look what you did. So to go forward publicly and say, yes, I was a part of this and it was terrible, but now I'm here to let everybody know that. I mean, I know that like Leah and Mike have gotten tons of heat over the years, and I know you've shared a little bit about your experience with that. And then, especially, and as well, with women who go up against the justice system, especially against people and men in particular of power, they very, very rarely win, and almost always. And like, you know, for better or worse, I will side with the victim 99% of the time, even if there's like a shred of doubt, because I don't want to be the person who fucking says somebody's story isn't true, and then it turns out to be. And it's like these women who come forward so often get just absolutely shredded to pieces by the media, and they get death threats from fans. And in this case, I'm sure other Scientologists or whatever, although I know they all remained anonymous. But still, just it takes, you go through such a re-victimization when you speak about this stuff. So it takes so much bravery to talk about this stuff publicly.
Absolutely, 100%. I do want to just give some attention to the super chats. Pat, thank you for your super chat. He'll be sentenced on August 4th, minimum of 30 years. Yeah, that is 100% true. We will see then how long he will get, but as Pat says here, minimum of 30 years, 100% true. Destiny, thank you for the super chat. Bravery against tyranny ultimately prevails. Way to go, JDs. I mean, this just says it all, right? Like their courage and their strength in speaking out, it's only gonna be tough for them, right? This hasn't been an easy journey for them in any way, shape, or form. When you've gone through something like that, the last thing you want to do is have to relive it, recount it, talk about it, and do that over and over again in 2 trials and everything leading up to it on either side. Like this must have been hell and torture for them, and so that just makes it even more outstanding, their bravery and strength in doing this. And as Destiny says, it prevails because this just goes to show that there is merit in speaking out and sharing your story, and this is going to encourage and empower so many others to share their stories as well.
Yeah, definitely.
100%. I mean, there's one, this isn't a super chat, but there is one that's really relevant. Rev Girl here obviously went through something similar. I reported it to the sec checker. The ethics office took the report, and that was it. I was the one that pulled it in. This is the mentality of Scientology. If something like this happens, that's because you've pulled it in. It's your fault. What did you do to allow this to happen to you? Which is disgusting.
AKA, what were you wearing or whatever, right?
Exactly.
And
but
then
even
Alex
worse.
and I, Alex and I were talking just the other day too about in our recording how Scientology, because of the whole operating Thetan, endless life, spiritual being, you're just in a body or whatever, how, often sexual abuse of children and all kinds of people just gets swept under the rug or sometimes even praised because it's like, oh, look at how advanced these beings are.
Yep. 100%. Nora, so Ono Nora, Nora Ames, who's a former SEAL member, she has her channel. Go check her out, guys, if you haven't already. I was speaking to her the other day, and I thought I saw also on a stream that she did that she was she identifies as a lesbian, she's gay, and she was in a bit of trouble for being gay in Scientology, which she can't do. And she was explaining about how in one instance there was like the women's showers, and this guy had drilled like a hole to like see these women like showering and stuff, which is disgusting. And she said her words were something like, this guy is still in good standing and Nora is the suppressive person. She's the enemy of the church. She's the one that's done wrong because she's gay. But this guy who's literally spying on women showering is still in good standing of the church. And that just goes to show how absurd this organization is at looking at these sorts of issues. I think it's disgusting.
Well, homosexuality is obviously a perversion, Alex.
Of the thing.
I have to, I think, sometimes make it clear that I'm joking. Sometimes I'm a little too deadpan. Yeah, obviously. That was sarcasm.
I know. It's also 2:30 in the morning here, so I'm not 100% on it in my brain.
Honestly, your 2:30 is my 7:30, and like, and I think in our minds, those are like the same thing.
Yeah, no, I get it. Michelle Carpenter, I propose a celebration Discord party. 100%, right? Let's do it.
Yes, Michelle. Me and Michelle have been following each other around on different platforms all day.
I love it.
And I
100%.
just
Go
did
on.
want to say earlier that I saw a few other people say that they were also survivors of sexual assault, and I just want to say, like, shout out, you guys. Definitely, this is a victory for all of us, and stay strong. We got this.
Yeah. We're all here to support you, and in sharing your story, it's only empowering to others, right? Degraded Autodynetics, hey guys, we've been crying a lot, and thoughts will come tomorrow. Yeah, I was kind of not sure whether I wanted to go live or talk about it now or think about it, and I just thought I was talking to you, Ash, and I was like, no, let's just do something quick because it is such an important day, and um you know, we have to do something to keep the focus on the Jane Does, right? That's what I'm focusing on right now. Is they've got their justice today. They've spoken out, and this is, I don't know. I sound like a broken record. It's a great day.
It is. I just saw Brian Rain said religions, cults, Scientology, Jehovah's Witness, Mormons, other Christian churches, close ranks with clergy, VIP members are accused of sexual assaults to protect the organization from bad publicity. That's actually what I was thinking about when you were talking about that. I was thinking about like Jehovah's Witness and Mormonism, and some of these other organizations or cult-like groups that you're not allowed to go to the authorities outside. That's looked at as like a wrong against the church because you don't live by society's laws or the fucking police's laws. You live by the laws of God or whoever.
Hmm. Yeah.
Source. Sauce.
Source. One thing that is also really important is Claire Headley managed to get on testimony, like get it on the record, right, in her testimony, that the word victim in Scientology is a really bad word, right? I haven't really spoken to you, Ash, about the tone scale, but in Scientology there's a thing called the tone scale.
Oh,
Yeah.
you told me you were going to tell me about it.
Yeah,
Victim
we
is
should do like a whole
bad.
episode on it. But the tone
Yeah.
scale basically is like a chart of human emotions from like body death, and then there's a load of other, Thetan type tones, and then it goes up to like happiness, ecstatic, and so on. And it goes through all the emotions, and there's a whole thing we should do on it. But the point is, victim is 0.1 on the tone scale, right? Which is really bad, basically. If you're below 2 on the tone scale, that means you aren't succeeding and going up and thriving. You're actually succumbing. You're going downwards towards death, right? So
Oh.
victim 0.1 is bad. So if you were to go into a church of Scientology and say, I'm a victim of this abuse or whatever, then that means that you are moving towards death, right? You are not in a good spiritual state. So even if you have been a victim of these things, you're not going to use that word because it has a whole different meaning in Scientology. And this is something that Claire Headley managed to get on the record, which I think is really, really important for future cases.
Yeah. So what if I said I'm a survivor of sexual assault? Would they be like, cool, you're empowered?
I mean, yeah, being a
Or they
survivor
would
is a
still
different
say that
word,
I
right?
brought it on to myself anyways, right?
Yeah,
Like
you would still be at
regardless, it was
fault.
my fault. So
Yeah, exactly. And they would say like, don't get rid of your HENR. HENR is human emotion and reaction. You don't want to have that, right? So, when you write a knowledge report, a KR, when you're reporting this sort of stuff to the ethics officer, it has to be without HENR. You have to state the facts. This happened, not how it made you feel, not what you think about it, but what happened is a factual thing. This is how you have to report these things in Scientology. And if the person is upstat, then they won't even look at it. It just gets filed away and no action is done. They have what's called ethics protection. And this is how Danny Masterson got away with it and how he's been protected by the Church of Scientology for so long.
So for any non Scientology experts, you just do a KR with no HEAR. You throw it on up to the upstat, and then hold on. You guys, I have to tell you that earlier Alex and I were like, should we just hop on
This
the
was
phone
hilarious.
real quick just to like get on the same page? And I said, yeah, do you want
This
to
is
give me
so
a
funny.
quick rundown? And I was like, oh my God, you fucking have indoctrinated me. I was like, oh, okay, Ashley, what do you want? Like a sunshine rundown? That's one of them, right?
Yeah.
That's one of them, right? Which is ridiculous. I could have just pulled anything out of my ass. Like a happiness rundown. That's real, you guys.
You just instinctively use that word. Imagine what
It
it's
was
like being
fucking
someone who's
wild, you
actually
guys.
been a part of
Oh.
this, right? Like when I speak to another former Scientologist, anyone who's not been in it would find it fascinating because it is like a whole different language, right? It's interesting because I don't surround myself with former Scientologists outside of this whole YouTube thing, right? So I don't really talk in that way, and I haven't done for years, but it's like a switch. Like the moment I'm on a call with someone, it's like I'm straight back there. It's strange. It is really
Well,
weird.
apparently, even if I hang out with you for like every weekend for a month and a half or something,
It rubs off.
then I fucking become. I'm like, all right, just give me the RD, but before just give me the quick RD before we hop on the YTL YouTube Live.
Oh, I love it. Marilyn, thank you so much for the super chat. Marilyn does these bobblehead crochet costumes.
The Xenu one.
So she's awesome. Go and check her out. She's got a Facebook page if you want to get a little outfit for your Mike Grinder. But she says, Alex and Ash, you're awesome. Thanks for keeping the coverage going and helping to normalize speaking out instead of victim shaming. The momentum is building. Down with the cult abuse and shame.
Hell yeah. So you guys make sure to keep sharing all the coverage and stuff. And yeah, do we have any cool questions that we should answer?
I'm literally just working through them here. So SP Kitty said, it's late for us UK folk, that sort of thing. For yes, I've been up since this happened. My phone has been going off non-stop, and it's been an emotional roller coaster, but I can't even imagine what it must be like for those involved. So I'm here, I'm following it, and when we have to do this, like she also said, seriously momentous day, cried so much. I think as an SA survivor, it brings up so much emotion. I can only imagine.
Yeah, and that's kind of Alex was like, oh, well, do you want to read this like real quick 30-page rundown? Fuck me, you guys.
You did it again.
Synopsis? Summary? What are they called? What is it called when
lowdown.
He was like,
lowdown instead.
Oh my Jesus. Oh my Jesus. Oh my Buddha. Oh my Hubbard. Okay. Yeah, and I was like, I don't read that fast, so I can't. So why don't we talk on the phone? But I'm not ever here to like pretend that I'm a fucking Scientology expert or that I've been watching the Danny Masterson case for the last 2 trials. Like as you guys know, I'm into all kinds of fucked up stuff, but cults is definitely one of them, and like kind of like the biggest one probably. And I lost my train of thought. Dang it.
Words are hard.
I was like, it's 7:45 here, you guys, which is late. I know it's 2:45 for Alex. Okay, but
we'll try and keep it short.
Yeah.
You won't go long.
Well, so I was gonna say, like, I don't have a fucking master's in Scientology or anything, but like I've, definitely I speak out about the fact that like I've gone through little little salad bar of trauma, a little bit of this and that, and sexual assault is one of them. And I said, well, I think there's definitely something that feel that I can bring to the table today, which is not like a deep knowledge of the case or
Mm,
whatever, but just you know for me, like as a sexual assault survivor, shame is like a really common feeling, and I've been dealing with these things in therapy and stuff for a long time, and I was on an interview with Chris Pedretti once, who's amazing. She was a survivor of Joseph D'Angelo. He when she was 13 or 15. It was awful. But we were going to have a Zoom about my experience. And I just like blacked out and babbled about the podcast for like 45 minutes because like I still have a lot of shame. But like I didn't do anything, but it's such a common experience for survivors, not victims, because the tone
mhm.
scale, and we're not using that word for survivors, and I just wanted to like at least come and put my 2 cents in about what a big day this is for those Jane Does, the ones who won the case, the third one who had a hung jury, and I'm so glad that she still feels validated, plus all of other Danny Fuckersons victims, and all the fucking Church of Scientology victims, and just all of the sexual assault victims, who are way too many of us. So for me, I think that was a big part of why it was an emotional thing today. And I just really wanted to like come out here and give love to all my other survivors, and this is a really big win for all of
Yeah.
us today. So
Absolutely. And from a
yeah.
Scientology perspective, right, as I said earlier, it's opening a can of worms. This is the start of a huge thing. I think it's monumental because it's shone light on how Scientology allows these things to happen and continues to do so. Scientology will have to change their ways as a result of this, right? And that's something that Scientology doesn't do very often. It's really hard to change Scientology because it says in policy you have to do what LRH says by the letter. You can't change policy. So something like this is going to have a huge impact on the way Scientology operate and handles things. One of the things that happened in this case was what's called a non-interbulation order, right? Ash, you're going to find this wild. So if you are writing
Will
reports
I?
about
Oh no.
if you're
Okay.
writing
Well,
reports about someone like an upstat person or whatever, right, like these victims did about Danny Masterson, and they're upstat and they're filed with a yawn, basically, I think at least one of them was given a non-interbulation order, which is basically, Claire Headley described it as a gag order, right? It's Scientology ethics saying stop nattering and stop interbulating people, which means like upsetting them, spreading bad news, right? And if there is one more report of you doing so, you will be declared a suppressive person and kicked out of the church. And for someone who's in Scientology and their family are in, that means you will be forced to disconnect from your family and lose everything that you know, and so on. So this is what I mean about Scientology covering it up and allowing it to happen, is they literally told the Jane Does, you need to stop talking about this now. Otherwise, you're going to lose everything and everyone that you know.
I think like the most infuriating part of that to me is, what is it called? It's just called a yawn.
When you file a report with a yawn, yeah.
Like that's so fucking disgusting. Oh my
Ethics
god.
protection, yeah.
It's not called EP.
No, it's just called ethics protection.
Get the fuck out of here. That's wild. I thought
Yeah.
everything was abbreviated over there.
Hmm. It's true. S here says revoke the tax exemption now. Contact your political member. This is what I mean. Like this opens a door, potentially a obstruction of justice case, right? Scientology got in the way. It told these Jane Does to stop talking about it, to not report it. This is the start, I think, of something huge, right? And it's exciting to see this happen, and to see what's going to happen. Burke here, hearing the verdict was such good news. Had a rough day, it picked me up immediately. It's the same, right? For me, I
Hell
think
yeah.
anyone that's involved, even someone who hasn't been a victim of this sort of abuse, any former Scientologist, it goes to show that you can speak out. There are people here to support you, and justice will be served. Escaping the Cultiverse, Gabriel. She's awesome. Gabriel used to be the executive director of the Vancouver Scientology org. I interviewed her recently. Hi, Gabriel.
Hi, Gabriel.
I've been crying lots today. So many mixed emotions. I mean, it's so true for so many people. Destiny has a question for you. How does Ash feel about her introduction to the SPTV lot community? We can be a little bit extra.
I love it. I was on the chat previously with Claire, and I just felt so welcomed by everybody. I was like, "Hey guys," and I had like 5 people say hi back or something, and I was like, "You guys, everybody's so nice." Yeah, somebody said something over here. I'm always like trying to like. Rev Girl said EP is end phenomenon. It was already taken.
Yeah, that's true. End phenomena. We talked about that when we were doing the bridge, right? The end phenomena, the thing you're trying to get on the each. Yeah.
No,
Which
it's like
actually might be a good. Yeah.
you figure out who you're not, and then that's I feel like if you were to wrap up the bridge, when you get to the end, you figure out who you're not. And
that's it.
Sorry,
Yeah.
spoiler alert to anybody who's who's listening chronologically. But the end phenomena is like the whole shebang. It's just like and congratulations, now you're in an identity crisis forever. So
It's so true. And this is the thing, like it's built into the nature of Scientology to just fuck you up in the head. Imagine spending hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars on this thing to then get to the very top of the bridge, the very last course, for them to then go, yeah, so now you know who all of that stuff was all made up and it was all in your head and you know who you're not. But unfortunately, you can't find out who you actually are because we haven't released those levels yet. Stay tuned. And it's been like that for 50 years or something.
The episode that we both put out today, I put out on my podcast feed. Alex will put it on his channel tomorrow. Oh, you're going to do it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Stay tuned. Oh my God, more content, you guys. That's crazy. Except me and Alex. Me and Alex are going to go to bed after this. But Mimi said something about going after the Jehovah's Witnesses too. And Mimi, I just want to let you know, any high control coercive groups, I'm not going to call them fucking religions because let's be honest, most of them aren't. I'm going after them. So come on over to my YouTube because I'm trying to take all these fuckers down.
Your YouTube? You mean your podcast?
Yep, I don't have don't go to my YouTube, you guys. There's nothing going on over there. Goldie, you're so sweet. Thank you so much for telling people to go there. There's just nothing there, you guys. So you can go, but it's not.
But go
exciting.
to your favorite podcasting app, right? And it's TSFU, thepodcast.com.
And yes, TSFU, thepodcast.com. And today's episode on my feed, because we call them different things, is your reactive mind is all in your head. That's kind of the gist of what I got out of that episode.
Yeah,
that works out. So I think if all of the survivors out there and anybody who's like having emotions today and like reacting, chill. It's in your head, you guys. Okay. Right.
It's ridiculous, and that's what Scientology say. They say no HENR, right? No case on post, right? If you're working for the church and you're upset or you're sad or any emotion, right, you have to follow the no case on post. Like your case is your, your emotions and stuff to do with your auditing that you're bringing up, and when you're on post is when you're working. So you're not allowed to show emotions or be upset about anything to do with you when you're working. You're meant to have that parked, and when you're working, you're just focused on Scientology. Like you're not allowed to have HENR, human emotion and reaction. And it's wild that they force you to suppress these things. But like you said, that's a really good plug actually, and I think we should start to wrap this up here because it is
Yeah.
really late here. But as soon as this finishes, I'm going to push live the episode that we were going to launch today anyway, which is continuing to dissect the bridge to total freedom. We go through the grades, we get to clear and explain what that is. I think it's a really great episode, and
It
we'll live
is.
premiere it, so I'll be in the chat. I'm sure Ash will be too.
Tonight?
And
Tonight?
I'm gonna
Right
do it
now?
right after this. Yeah,
You're
but if you
staying
don't,
up?
look. I'm just pushing. I'm just pushing it
like
live. I'll just be in the chat.
It
3
is
a.m.
4:00 in.
It's 3 a.m.
You
Yeah.
are kooks bananas. All right, fine.
I
I'll be there
basically
too.
live-
I'll
I
be
basically
there
live on
too
Pacific
then.
time.
Oh, Goldie also Goldie's the sweetest. You guys don't go look at me on Facebook either. I don't do anything there either. Somebody did who
You're
was
terrible.
it? It was I know. I am. It was one of my girls, one of my boos. I don't know. Sorry. I can't find you. Peggy. I think it was Peggy. But she said join the Discord. Alex and I both have Discords. But if you go to I don't know how to get to your Discord. How do you get to your Discord?
The link's in the
Alex?
description. Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be fine.
Okay. And yeah, and then I believe Peggy threw my link to the Discord in there too. But if you go to tsfuthepodcast.com, the show is That's So Fucked Up. I know somebody asked. I'm Ashley Richards, host of That's So Fucked Up. And yeah, if you go to tsfuthepodcast.com, there you can find like where to listen, everything. Also, if you follow us on Instagram at TSFU the podcast or TikTok at TSFU the podcast, or if you go to the Discord, I promise I'll be in those places. I'm sorry, Goldie. And to everybody else, I will probably not get back to you on Facebook or YouTube.
And also we'll be here on the live chat every Wednesday when we live premiere the episode. So that's a good way of keeping engaged. So just to end, Degraded Cybernetics, thank you so much. Thanks for hitting important points today, Alex and Ash. I agree. I think it's such an important thing. I needed to do something to mark the occasion. Ash, thank you so much for joining me. And we will see you guys over in the live premiere very shortly.
In like
Alrighty.
a minute.
Like two, maybe two.